What is the consensus?
Ready? Okay, great, thank you. The board will now convene to open session and report out from closed sessions. Live streaming on YouTube will begin now for the open session of the Board of Education meeting. URL for the YouTube live streaming may be found on the NHUSC Board of Education webpage just before the meeting begins at 6:30 p.m. If you are joining us online via the Zoom webinar and you would like to provide public comment for this meeting, you may do so by utilizing the raise your hand option in Zoom. Or if you are calling in by phone, please press *9 and wait to be called on. Community members may still provide public comments to the board prior to each meeting via email at publiccomment@nhusc.k12.ca.us. There were no. I think there was something.
No, not for closed
Oh.
session.
Okay, nothing came via the public comment email for tonight's meeting. I would like to remind the public that we will not be responding to questions posed by those making public comments. Relative to items 3.1 through 3.4, no action was taken by the board in closed session. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May I have roll call, please?
Calderon.
Here.
Ishihira.
Here.
Chima.
Yes.
Gonzalez.
Here.
Mallory.
Here. Did you get Calderon? Okay. May I have a motion and a second to approve tonight's agenda? Okay. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Calderon.
Aye.
Aye.
Dallas.
Aye.
Ishihira.
Aye.
Chima.
Aye.
Gonzalez.
Aye.
Mallory.
Aye. And item 5.4, I would like to invite our Vice President Gonzalez to read your land acknowledgement at this time.
We want to open up this meeting by acknowledging with respect and love that the land we are on today is the traditional ancestral homeland of the Ohlone Chochenyo First People. We recognize and thank the Ohlone people as the original stewards of this land. Indigenous people must not be spoken about in the past context as if they left on their own accord, when the real causes were white supremacy, manifest destiny, and U.S. colonization. By recognizing we stand on the occupied indigenous territory of the Ohlone people, we recommit ourselves to listen to Native leadership and stand in solidarity with people struggling against systems of oppression throughout the world, past and present.
Thank you very much. Next item is item 6.1, which is public comment hearing of visitors on topics which are not on the agenda. Just a reminder, if you are participating via Zoom and you wish to make a comment, please use the raise your hand function or press *9. We will first hear any speakers that are present and here in the room. Do we have any comments? That's online. No. Okay, is there anyone online? I'm sorry, I didn't get the name of the team. Oh, yes, Ms. Haslett.
Yes, just a second. A couple of weeks ago, I sent members of the board a question asking about Bill excuse me, I'm trying to find my document here. AB 1522 regarding Healthy Workplaces, Healthy Families Act. And I did not receive a response. According to that act, and according to another district's website that allows their substitutes up to 3 days of sick time. And I'm just wondering if New Haven does that, and if not, why? Since I did not receive a response. That was a bill that was passed in California that employees that do not have contracted sick time can accrue up to 3 days worth of time. I'm wondering why our employees in New Haven substitutes don't have that then.
Yeah, Ms. Haslett, we are not supposed to respond here on items that are not on the agenda. But
Well, I sent an email 2 weeks ago asking about this and never received an answer.
if you would send your email, someone in the staff should be able to follow up with you.
Okay, because there are other districts that do provide it for their substitutes. And if we're having problems getting substitutes, I would think this would be something we would want to offer also.
Dr. Thompson is saying that we do that.
Your substitutes, the New Haven substitutes clearly currently can accrue up to 3 days time.
It's a law, and Dr. Thompson is saying we're complying with that law, so.
Well, I've talked to substitutes who don't know anything about it.
Yeah, unfortunately, according to the Brown Act, it is not legal for us to have a back and forth discussion on items that are not on the agenda during the public comment section. So if you have any questions, please approach a staff member. Are there any more public comments? The next item is 7.1, public comment, hearing of visitors on topics which are on the agenda. A reminder, if you're here via Zoom, you can use the raise your hand function or *9. You can keep your comments to 2 minutes. Speakers that go over 2 minutes will be. Do you have any speakers?
We have one blue card in-house, and that's Great Snelling.
Mr. Schwartz.
Good evening. 25-year veteran of the school district. Name's Greg Snelling. And on the agenda tonight is NHUSD's Sunshine Proposal for bargaining with the teachers union and HTA. And I'm here representing the bargaining team and teachers. We're a month away from your second interim report that you're going to receive here at the board meeting, and I just want to remind you that at the last meeting, the adopted budget to first interim, your ending balance was $5.86 million more than anticipated. At that time, the CBO, Ms. Heldman, said that more money is going to fall out. I just want to give you an idea of what that has looked like in the past. Over the last 4 years, from the first interim to second interim, that extra money has been anywhere from $1.3 million more to 2.6. And from the second interim to the unaudited actuals, that number over the last 6 years has ranged anywhere from $2 million to $6.5 million more. But we see over the last 6 years that from the first interim to unaudited actuals, the uptick is anywhere from $3.1 million to $6.3 million. And this is to your bottom line unrestricted reserves. So as we enter negotiations, and the district is sitting on $14 million more than you had projected 3 years ago, and looking forward that your ending balance is going to grow. We know that you're getting a 5.33 COLA to your LCFF revenues and also to categoricals, including special ed, that we hope that NHTA and NHUSD can work together to do something really good for staff of this district and for the students of this district. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have any more speakers on topics that are on the agenda? Okay, with that, we will move to item 8.1, presentation of the 2021 Lcap. I believe this is Mr. Delegate. Oh, and Ms. Holman.
Good evening, President Mallory, members of the board, Superintendent Thompson, and the New Haven community. Tonight, the Division of Teaching and Learning and the Business Department will collaboratively present to you the 2022 supplement to the annual update for the 2021-2022 Lcap, the updated Lcap budget overview for parents, and the 2021 Lcap mid-year report. This presentation is a new presentation based upon the new requirements associated with receiving both state and federal funding in responding to COVID-19. Oh, sorry. Part one of tonight's presentation is focused upon the 2022 supplement to the annual update for the 2021-22 Lcap. The link in this document can be accessed by clicking on the title of the slide. This document requires districts to respond to 5 components: the enactment of Budget Act of 2021, the usage of concentration grant add-on funds, the engagement for usage of one-time funding, the implementation of ESSER 3 funds, and the usage of funds consistent with the 2021-22 Lcap and the annual update. The Budget Act of 2021 provided additional funds to local school districts. Because the budget is not passed until June, most districts did not have a chance to include these new funds as part of the Lcap. New Haven Unified received additional funds that were not included as part of the 2021-22 Lcap as follows: the Expanded Learning Opportunities Grant, the Educator Effectiveness Block Grant, the Expanded Learning Opportunities Program Grant, the ESSER 1 and ESSER 2 and ESSER 3 funds as well. The second area to respond to is a description of the usage of concentration grant add-on funds. Our district did not receive any additional concentration funding through 2021 California Budget Act, and as such, this prompt does not apply for our district. The third area to respond is a description of the engagement for the usage of one-time funding. Our district conducted community engagement on our one-time federal funds in a variety of ways. Starting in May of 2020, we convened a task force of teachers to assist us in developing our instructional models. We shared our progress and gathered public comment at regular board meetings. We held a community forum and we surveyed our community multiple times. We also worked with our labor partners of NHGA and CSCA to reach agreements around distance learning, the return of students and staff to campus. This work provided the foundation for our plans. At the beginning of the 2020-21 school year, we convened advisory councils with NHGA, CSCA, and our parents so that we could get direct feedback on the distance learning, which was phase 1 of our return to school plan. These councils have also provided us with input that helped us to develop our plan and use of our one-time federal dollars. While input from the New Haven community has been invaluable in this process, the content of our plans also came from the guidance of health professionals, particularly those at the Alameda County Public Health Department, the California Department of Public Health, and the Centers for Disease Control. The Alameda County Department of Education, in collaboration with the Alameda County Health Officer, has synthesized important information from each of these agencies into a COVID-19 school guidance document. In addition, our New Haven annual student, parent, and staff surveys provided us with comprehensive feedback and guidance in the use of our one-time federal funds. The fourth area for us to respond to is a description for the implementation of our ESSER 3 funds. It was clear from the input of our educational partners that when it came to planning for the expenditures of these one-time state and federal funds in response to COVID mitigation, there were 4 priorities. One being academic support and learning loss mitigation. Second, the social-emotional supports for students and staff as they return to in-person learning. 3, to leverage technology. And 4, to use the lessons learned from our time when instruction was provided through distance learning. Some of the examples of activities funded through ESSER 3 funds included under academics, the expansion of our summer school to include K-12, both academic support as well as enrichment, the expansion of our 21st century supports at all of our elementary schools. In terms of social emotional supports, our ability to be able to implement social emotional curriculum and providing wellness teachers on special assignments at each of our schools. In technologies, the implementation of our Promethean boards, and in lessons learned, again, an opportunity for us to think about and support our work around anti-racism professional development. The fifth area for us to respond to was a description of the funds consistent with the 21-22 Lcap and annual update. The 21-22 school year has been a year of many plans, and our district has worked diligently to ensure that all plans are aligned and that the funds can be maximized to support student outcomes and supports the priorities of our district. As noted throughout this document, our district has received one-time state and federal funds that are geared toward keeping our schools safely open while preventing the spread of COVID-19 and accelerating student learning recovery after a year of distance learning. And with that, I'd like to call upon Annette Hellman, the Chief Business Officer, in order to provide an update to the budget overview for parents.
Thank you, Mr. Fasani. So the budget, good evening, Annette Hellman, I'm your Chief Business Officer. The budget update component of this update shows on your screen is really comparing what we adopted and where we are now, given the trailer bills and additional information that we have received since June adoption. As stated there, a lot of times, if not most of the time, we get budget information without a lot of additional details when it comes to additional categorical, or I shouldn't use that word, restricted programs. And we're still actually receiving a lot of that information trickling down now. So in terms of this adopted budget, when it comes to the revenue, as you can see there, I think I can point with this. Well, I'm not going to grade it, but comparing what we adopted and new information since then, there's an upward adjustment of about 20 million in overall revenues. Now, not all of that is new money. If you recall, a lot of one-time money started being authorized by the state this past year. There was so much with so little time. The good news is we have about 2 years, 3 years, and in some cases, up to 4 years in actually planning and spending this money to make the most of it based on what the purpose is. So that's the revenue side of it. They are designated as the state categorizes them in terms of federally funded, state funded, and local funded. And again, that's an uptick of about 20 million based comparing what we adopted and where we are now, given new information. With regards to the bottom section, which is the expenses, we are reporting to you that comparing what we adopted and now we have allocated additional monies or budgeted for them to the tune of $10 million. Now, if the question is, well, if we gained about 20 million, how come we only added in terms of our budget expenditures of 10 million? Now, not all of that is allocated. Some of it could be sitting in ending balance. We would allocate those based on the spending plan. As we receive spending plan from different departments, we would then put them in the code, put them in our financial system, and that is the variance when you're looking at those things. With regards to our LCAP, 9.5 million is derived from supplemental dollars. That means we have to allocate a minimum of 9.5 million to our highest population. And as you can see in this report, we allocate 3 times that to support that population based on our priorities. Our LCAP actually, looking at that second line item,
We have over 48 million allocated to those action items and priorities we have identified as part of our district plan. And like I said earlier, 31 million of that is towards the highest needs and population. So we spend well above the minimum of 9.5 million that's generated, which is the dollars generated from that. So this is the update when it comes to the budget as part of this Lcap mid-year update. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Pisani. Thank you.
The third part of our presentation to you tonight is a 2021 Lcap mid-year report. This report provides a summary of the actions and services for each of the 5 district goals, and the link to this document can be accessed by clicking on the title of the slide. Each summary in the Lcap mid-year report contains a description of each of the district goals and action initiatives and the rationale for each of the goals. The Lcap mid-year report includes the expected annual measurable objectives for each goal, which is articulated to one of the 8 state priority areas. It also includes the metrics for each goal from the Lcap, including baseline data, the year 1 mid-year report, and the desired outcomes for 23-24. Actions and services for each goal include the action title and descriptions, the time span, and whether the action is contributing to our unduplicated students. Again, English learners, displaced students, socioeconomically disadvantaged students, and the personnel and non-personnel expenses, the total fund allocated to each action, and the mid-year expenditures that we've experienced to date. This Lcap mid-year report also provides our community with detailed accountability for each of our actions and services related to the implementation of the 5 district goals in the Lcap and the expenditures that we have allocated and have expended up to this time for each action and service. Many of the metrics are connected to the information that is provided to the district through the annual parent, student, and staff surveys. The next administration of our district-wide surveys is actually happening currently. It opened on January the 28th and will close on February the 25th. We strongly encourage our educational partners, our parents, our students, our staff to complete the surveys, as this data will assist in the determination of our progress being made and measured by the metrics in our Lcap. So what are the next steps in terms of an overview and a timeline? Our next steps for board action is that by June 30th of 2022, we're going to be scheduling a public hearing, and at a separate and subsequent meeting, present an opportunity to adopt the following documents: the 22-23 budget overview for parents, the 21-22 supplement, which we presented to you here this evening, our 22-23 Lcap, the action tables for the 22-23 Lcap, the instructions for the Lcap template, and the 22-23 budget. We'd like all of our educational partners who participated in this process. We'd like to thank, all of our educational partners who participated in this process. Can entertain any questions the board may have at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pisani, Ms. Hellman, and staff. Do you have any questions from the board? President Nhga.
Thank you for that really concise explanation. I did have a question from one of my constituents, and I'd like to relay that here. She wants to know, do you know if summer school for everyone, again, will be, if there'll be summer school for everyone this year, including immersion programs?
So summer school funding is part of our ESSER 3 plan, and as part of those dollars we're leveraging, we will continue for this upcoming year to have summer school for all kindergarten through 12th grade students for both academic support and for enrichment, which would include our immersion programs as well.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
No.
No questions. My questions are answered. Thank you very, very much. All right. Our next item, 8.2, is our district update from Superintendent Thompson.
Okay. And I'm going to go grab Frank. All right, so just a quick update on a few different things. Wait for that. Come up here. All right, here we go. So tonight I'll touch on a COVID update, some thoughts for next year. Scott kind of front loaded the structural things that we have to do for next year, and I'll give some thinking and some of the ideas that are going to go into those documents. And we'll talk a little bit about our plan for trying to increase enrollment for next year. So with that, and this is one of the things that we're seeing is just like across the state, we're seeing our case rates drop significantly for COVID, the positive test cases. And we had a high and just a little over about a month ago, 456 cases during that week. Last week we had 83. And so we continue to see a pretty big drop. Now, if we had 83 2 months ago, it would have seemed like a huge number, but in the Omicron era, it's actually really good. And we're not seeing, at least that I'm aware of, a lot of people that are out ill and sick, which is great. And you'll see that here. So our attendance last week was at 93.5% for our students. And that's pretty good. I mean, you were getting close to pre-pandemic levels of attendance, which is fantastic. We're seeing that with staff as well. We're seeing much fewer absences, more normal absences. So that is a really good trend, and also reflective of the fact that even with 83 positive test cases in our system, we're not seeing a lot of absences because of people that are ill, which is great. We are getting back to just a reminder that we had started the year with severe staffing shortages, like most districts. We're still faced with severe staffing shortages, but at least they're not being exacerbated by COVID right now. There was one period of time back when we were hitting our high where we were getting close to 30 uncovered classes a day, and that's a lot. So we've dropped significantly from that, but we still, when we have teachers or paraeducators or custodians that are absent, we have trouble backfilling those because substitutes are hard to come by. All right, moving forward. So the one thing that we have a lot of is PPE. We have more masks than we know what to do with right now. N95s, KN95s. We're getting about 4,000 more delivered to us. I think our maintenance and operations director is going to pick them up. So they keep coming in, which is great. And then we also had a community member that's donated about 10,000 individual bottles of hand sanitizer. So that's we'll be accepting that formally at the next board meeting that's coming too. So we have plenty. If any of our sites needs PPE, and anybody's listening out there, just ask your principals because we can get you as much PPE as you want. Testing, we're still doing testing at all the normal sites, just like we were before. We also have a bank of rapid tests for employees that need them to come back from being in isolation or quarantine, even though we don't have very many of those anymore. So that's good. We're at basically full capacity for PPE testing, all of that. I don't know how much longer we'll be able to maintain testing. And we have vendors working with us and we don't get charged for them, but their numbers are dropping off pretty significantly too. So we'll see. I know some districts have already started shifting how they do testing, but that's where we're at. We have it available right now for those who need it. And again, Mr. Pisani referenced this, but this document is the document if you want the latest guidelines that are out there. Our County Office of Ed, as I've said many times, does a great job of keeping this document updated. It's here, and I think we can. It's also, this document's on our website as well, so you can find it in a number of different ways. But if you want to know more about what's going on, that's that. The only other thing that we'll talk about here is masking. So as I think everybody knows now, the indoor mask mandate for most places ends today for the state. But there are exceptions carved out, and masking remains required in schools. We're here wearing our masks now, right? So, and the latest is that the CDPH is going to reevaluate whether or not to remove the school mask mandate or to give school folks choice on the 28th of February. And if the metrics look good at that point in time, what I heard yesterday was then the CDPH would develop a timeline for removing the indoor mask mandate. So once that happens, the counties have the option of maintaining the mask mandate or going along with the state. So Alameda County Public Health Department will have to figure out what happens after that point. So long story short, we're not looking at indoor masking for students going away anytime soon, from what I can see. So that's the latest on that. All right, so let's talk about something that's not COVID. At least I hope planning for next year doesn't involve a lot of COVID. We'll see. We're right now looking at what we have in place. We funded a lot of things this year with one-time money. As you know, we created wellness centers at all our sites with one-time money. The money is not available for that next year. So we're looking at how do we transition. We know we're still going to have needs, mental health needs, social emotional needs for our students. So what we're doing is we're really taking a hard look at all of our resources. Mr. Bazzani has all of the Lcap information and all the different plans that we have for the different programs that we get, the one-time monies and whatnot. Ms. Heldman, of course, has our regular budget, and we're in the process of evaluating everything we've got. And one thing we know when we talk about student needs is goal 2 is our area. That's a board, a board directive to focus on areas we can improve access and support for our students. So we're looking at trying to really revamp or re-engage in a lot of our MTSS work, our equity work, and a variety of different supports through goal 2. And we've got some, we're thinking about a variety of ideas based on feedback that we've received. And we'll have a plan for you soon to take a look at what next year looks like. There's also there's new opportunities, and Mr. Bazzani will tell you about one of them coming up with, as an example, with the A3g Pathways grant. So it's a very interesting time with a lot of one-time money, a lot of things that come our way kind of unexpectedly sometimes, and we're trying to make the best of everything to do what's best for our kids and our staff and our families. So anyway, that's kind of what's happening in general right now across the district. So one of the things that we know is happening everywhere is we are losing students. We've been losing students here for quite a while. The trend is across the entire region. This year was pretty dramatic for most districts. We actually did better than most districts, relatively speaking, in terms of the loss of students. But the one thing that we're not doing is sitting back and just hoping things change. So we will be launching very, very soon an active big push to get kids in before the end of the year. You're going to see signs like this at all of our school sites coming up. The QR code takes you directly to where you can enroll your students. We have a variety of different other vehicles that we're using for advertising. Mr. Mattis, do you have that? I don't know if you brought we can show you actually after out. We have that, the real life version here. So
these are the ones that are going to go on the school sites. So it'll be on every school site, every school property. Let them know that we're enrolling.
We're trying to highlight the fact that we don't assume that parents know that the age limit to bring your kids in keeps moving lower. Thank you. Yes. So we want to make sure parents are aware of that, and hopefully parents can share things with other community members who might not know this and get the word out. So we're looking at utilizing some of the sign areas that the city allows us to put signage up. We're looking at bus wraps, we're looking at digital signage, and that's going to be the one hung. Where's that, Mr. Maps?
These are on the city property, so this will be at Dakota and Myers, Alvarado, and Royal Inn, and then Dyer and Smith.
Thank you very much. This is one version of something you might see on an AC Transit bus. This isn't going to be the final version. We have a couple different ideas. Here's another one. And our communication and advocacy meeting is meeting tomorrow night, and we'll be going over some of these thoughts and ideas. And the firm that helps us with this, I think, is also going to share some other thoughts and ideas. So anyway, you'll see a big push moving forward, getting the word out to our community, trying to make sure that those that are thinking about educational options for next year are thinking of us first. And that's the goal. So anyway, with that, that's it. So I'll take any questions.
Yeah, just a clarification. It says they're expanded TK. When you say expanded, what do you mean?
The eligibility age is lower, so you can go in, I don't remember what I think it's a month earlier, 1 month, so in other words, you could be 1 month younger.
Then, February 2nd,
Yeah, so
that means, well,
So in other words, if you had a 4-year-old say that wasn't eligible this year to get in, a kid that same age next year would be eligible to get in if they were born 1 month. So it's shifting to younger and younger and younger students that we can enroll.
and then when they become that age, you put them to kindergarten.
They start as TK and then they matriculate from there to kindergarten. The next
When
year.
they become that age or the next
The
year.
next year.
The next year, okay. Then the other question is, the universal preschool. How does that look like in our district? Or do we have? Will we have one next year?
Our pre-K is done through Kidango. And so we are working with them to make sure that we have all of the, that students that wanted to have access to that. Mr. Bazanian, if you want to add to that.
I can add to that. If I can add to that as well. Again, we've already met with Kidango because the expansion of transitional kindergarten not only impacts the school district, but it also impacts Kidango. And we've already had a preliminary meeting to be able to discuss the program ramifications about this transition, because over the next 3 years, the dates will continue to move back. Again, this year, February, I believe, then it goes to April, then it goes to June, then it goes to September. So by 25, 26, it would be for 4-year-olds to be able to be eligible for transitional kindergarten. So it is a progressive plan over the course of the next several years. Next year is the first step, and for us, it means that students who are younger by a month would be able to attend our TKs for next year.
Okay, now, Kidango is not under the umbrella of the district, but the state, right?
They are a state preschool
Right.
who we work with as a district, that's correct.
Do the students who go to Kidango pay a fee? And then as they transition to our district, they don't, right?
That's correct.
I guess my next question to that one is, if they were paying a fee for Kidango, that's just like the state working against itself.
No, my question is, I think, because it's universal preschool, then Kidango, they should not charge for those things. Is that true?
Go ahead, Mr. Bazanian, or
Kidango, they are a pass-through agency. We are the ones who contract with the state, and Nhga is the provider. They do get state money, to the tune of over $2 million.
Well, so we just transfer the money to West Mass, we get the students.
Correct.
Correct.
We give it to them here, I know that it comes on the board agenda, but my question is, real question is, before it was only for the certain income limits, they were free kids, but other ones they were being charged. So with the universal pre-K, they should give access to our kids without charging them. Is that true?
I can answer that. So they have to comply with all of the requirements of universal pre-K. So in order to get that money, so they'll charge whatever it is that they're allowed to charge and nothing more. So there's not with universal pre-K. So in other words, what the students that can have free access to it will get that. And then if there are any fees, I can't remember what I haven't seen what they're looking at for next year, but we'll have to get, we can take a look at that.
It's a sliding fee.
Yeah, that's what it's been. But in order to be able to get the universal pre-K pass-through money, they have to comply with every requirement that comes along with it. So for the students who can access it for free, they get it for free. If they're allowed to charge students for it for some parts of it, then those students, they can charge those students. But that's we'll have to get more information for you on that. We don't have that information at our fingertips.
So based on the answer, it will be a few years before we actually will have universal preschool within our district.
We'll probably never have it. TK and universal pre-K are two different things. So TK maxes out at about 4.
Right.
Universal pre-K goes down to, I think, 2. So we'll always have a state preschool program in our district if we want to use those funds.
So only thing I would like to find clarification if you please bring it to us, because we do provide them funding, it pass through us.
Mhm.
So if we can find out what is their sliding scale, if there is any, under the new regulation with the universal preschool requirement.
Yeah, that's,
If they are charging that, how much or how they are going to charge.
yeah, that's pretty, should be pretty easy, yeah.
Yeah, please, thank you.
Thank you. Any more questions? All right, thank you. Going to section 9 information items, we have item 9.1, which is the required quarterly reports regarding complaints filed under the Williams complaint. We had zero complaints filed for quarter 2. And you can find the full report under 9.1 on the agenda. 9.2 is the A3g Completion Improvement Grant Program, which will be presented by Mr. Design.
Good evening once again. We're really excited to be able to present to all of you this evening information related to the A3g Completion Improvement Grant Plan. This is one of the things that came to us very fast and furious in terms of the release of information to be able to adhere to the guidelines for presenting it to the board at one meeting, having an action item being presented to you at a subsequent meeting, all before April the 1st. And so it was a real expedited process. But we are really excited to present to you our thinking around the A3g Completion Improvement Grant because of the opportunities that it will bring to us in our district. The A3g Completion Improvement Grant includes 3 buckets of funding. In the allocations, there's one portion for all school districts. You can see on the left-hand side of this graphic. And whether our district is eligible for either of the other 2 is based upon the A3g completion rate being either above or below 67%. New Haven's most current A3g completion rate, according to CDE, is at 43.1%. And our projected allocation as a result of this improvement grant is $638,237. Information related to our district's allocation and the related data is available at the link at the bottom of this slide. Some of the allowable usages in the center section coded in teal, again, in the different buckets that are available, the A3g Access Grant and the A3g Success Grant. These activities that provide direct support to student access to completion of A3g course requirements. The third bucket, again, in terms of allowable usages, has to deal with A3g learning loss mitigation. And with that comes with, which will allow for students who received a graded D of F or a fail in an A3g approved course in the spring semester of 2020 or in the 2020-21 school year to be able to retake those A3g courses. And again, the requirements of this grant plan is that school districts across California are required to develop a plan by April the 1st of 2022 in order to expend these funds, and discuss the plan at a public meeting of the governing board, which we're actually conducting this evening, and adopt a plan in a subsequent public meeting, which we're planning to present to all of you at our regularly scheduled meeting on Tuesday, March the 8th. For this plan, there is no community engagement requirement, and there is no plan submission to either the Alameda County Office of Education or the California Department of Education. And we're going to be required to be able to provide expenditure and accountability reports to CDE in December of 2023, and then at the end of the grant term in August 31st of 2026. So as part of our pre-work for the A3g Completion Improvement Grant, we referenced and utilized the A3g subject requirements from the University of California. To meet the minimum admission requirements, students have to complete 15-year-long high school courses with a letter grade of C or better, and at least 11 of them prior to the student's last year of high school. Keeping in mind that taking approved A3g courses is not the only way to satisfy these requirements. Students can also meet them by completing college courses or earning certain scores on various acceptable exams. A link to the A through G subject matter requirements is linked at the bottom in the fuchsia color, A through G subject matter requirements in the slide presented to you on the left. Also, in preparation of this plan, we were asked to complete an A through G tracking self-assessment. This self-assessment is composed of 4 parts. We looked at course catalogs and UCOP verification, our student information system and CalPADS coding, the tracking of student progress, and the transfer, review, and transfer courses. New Haven's A through G tracking self-assessment is linked on the right side at the bottom in the fuchsia color and is available for your review. So let's talk about this public plan. Our A through G draft plan is publicly accessible through the link included again at the bottom in the fuchsia of this slide. This improvement plan is composed of 3 parts: an overview, activities, and measurement. In the overview, this part of this plan asks districts to respond to the following. Describe how the A through G completion improvement grant funds will increase or improve services for unduplicated students to improve A through G eligibility. Include information about the number of students identified for this opportunity to retake courses. Again, that is students who received a D or F or a fail in an A through G course in the spring semester of 2020 or 2021 school year. And for us to include information regarding how these services supplement and not supplant services identified in either the Lcap, our in-person instruction plan, and our expanded learning opportunities plan. And also for us to include a description of the extent to which all students within the district, and particularly unduplicated students, once again, will have access to A through G courses approved by the University of California. The next section dealing with activities, these are the activities that directly support student access to and completion of the A through G course requirements. Eligible activities may include, but are not limited to, providing teachers, administrators, and counselors professional development opportunities to improve A through G completion rates, develop a comprehensive advising plan and student supports, including tutoring programs to improve the district's A through G completion rate, and expand access to coursework and other opportunities to satisfy A through G requirements for all students, including course development, course review, and incorporating A through G course requirements into the district's graduation requirements, and new and expanded partnerships with other secondary and post-secondary institutions, as well as advanced placement and the international baccalaureate fees for unduplicated students. In the A through G learning loss mitigation grant, again, allowing students who received a grade of D, F, or fail in an A through G course for the spring semester of 2020 and 2021 school year to be able to retake those A through G courses. If sufficient funds are available after implementing the above requirement, the districts may also use grant funds to offer credit recovery opportunities to all students to ensure students are able to graduate high school on time. The last part deals with measurement, and we needed to be able to develop metrics for each planned activity. In advancing our district goal number 2 of equity, access, and achievement, the A through G completion improvement grant provides much needed resources to support our students' our district's action initiative of ensuring inclusive and equitable conditions for all students. It also allows us to provide support, particularly for our unduplicated students, low income, foster, displaced English learners, in increasing graduation rates for these student groups. We also see a connection to our district's work around equity and a nexus to our district's equity councils, our equity site councils, our parent groups such as the District African American Advisory, our Hispanic Parent Advisory, Punjabi Parent Advisory, and the district's anti-racist consultation team. The New Haven A through G completion improvement grant recommends, in order to supplement and not supplant our Lcap, our in-person instruction plan, and our expanded learning opportunities grant, our draft plan allocates resources to create a full-time coordinator of equity, access, and achievement, and a 0.4 counselor in order to support, coordinate, and lead this work for the 2022-23, the 23-24, and the 24-25 school year. In the Coordinator for Equity, Access, and Achievement, responsibilities would include to provide oversight for the implementation of this grant, which again will result in the increase of the number of students who are unduplicated, who are also enrolled in A3g courses, to monitor the 4-year cohort graduation rate data for students, again, particularly for unduplicated students who are enrolled in A3g courses, provide a comparative analysis of the grade and marks for high school students unduplicated who are in A3g courses, and coordinate the academic supports for unduplicated students who are enrolled in A3g courses. It would also be responsible for leading and implementing and evaluating the activities related to our district goal number 2 of equity, access, and achievement, as well as the action initiative of ensuring inclusive and equitable conditions in our district. It would help us to lead our district's equity council, support our site equity councils, support our district African American Advisory Committee, our district Latino Parent Advisory Committee, Punjabi Parent Advisory Committee, our DLAC for English learners, and support our district's work around our anti-racist consultation team, and lead and coordinate the implementation of our ART team task force templates. Also being able to lead and coordinate the professional development related to equity within the district. The other position, .4 FTE counselor for equity, access, and achievement. This position and counselor would support the coordinator in their job-related functions, provide direct support to unduplicated students enrolled in A3g classes, and coordinate the direct support of unduplicated students in A3g classes. We are really excited about this opportunity. We know that it's been a focus, and these funding and the allocation of these fundings will enable us to substantially move our work under Goal 2 forward. And so with that, I'd like to entertain any questions or comments that you may have.
Member Chima. First of all, thank you so much for this wonderful presentation. I'm just wondering, what is the context why the state all of a sudden provided us this grant and asked us to work on this A3g completion improvement? Do you have any context for that?
So again, the context, I believe, would be included in the allowable usages of these grant funds, which again, knowing in the pandemic, there were a number of students who were not able to pass their A3g classes, is providing an additional support focused specifically on these student outcomes. Again, knowing the context being that these funds would not supplant all of the other funds, but would further supplement plans that we've already developed.
Thank you. So you said we have around 43%?
43.1%.
40%. So how do we fare comparing to the neighboring districts in terms of the A3g?
The link at the bottom of the slide number 2 has every district in the state and is available to you and the public. Again, I can't recall all the other districts off the top, but it is there and available for public reading.
So I don't know if, I mean, you might have a sense. I did not check all the data myself, you know, didn't open the link. So just from the top, how do you feel? Are we in the lows or in the middle or somewhere?
I'm going to pull it up right. That's okay for a second. Slide, go back. Right there. First one, yeah. Deep link at the bottom. Deep link at the bottom. Allocations.
Also, because of
when we did our allocations, it was an active link, and now it says coming soon. So that's changed since the last couple of years.
that's fine if you can give me, provide me that information. So the last question regarding this point will be the in our course catalog in James Jones High School course catalog. I know sometimes we do approve new courses in the to be included in the catalog in James Jones High School, but how many courses, I'm trying to find out how to narrate my question is that, for me, the courses under A through G, they have more value or mass or weight, so to speak. Do we have, maybe I can ask you later on that, how many percentages of the total courses do we have A through G approved courses? Yeah, you might not have that information right now, so maybe if you can provide that us later on, that I will appreciate that. So that will give me an idea or a feel that how much access we are providing to the students to the A3g courses being
So
available.
if I can respond, several years ago, we engaged in a process to look at access for students. That's many years ago, like back to 2008, 2009. When my co-director, Joe Feldman, we led substantial work at the high school to be able to eliminate barriers for students, not only through A through G, but advanced courses as well. So things such as prerequisites or conditions for students to get in have been eliminated and have open access to courses for students.
I do remember about the AP courses, but I did not remember about the A3g courses. So thank you so much for clarifying. Thank you.
Trustee Nhga.
Thank you for all this great work. It's great to see this happening. One quick question I have is the 43.1%. Is that in aggregate? That's all students, but I mean, not just, that's the entire student population?
That's correct.
Okay. We don't have that data disaggregated by unduplicated status?
Not in the website that was developed for the A through G purposes. That information was not included, at least when it was live. I don't know what work they're doing now behind the scenes.
Okay. You know, because you do mention the unduplicated population in our, you know, in kind of your plan. So it'd be good at some point. I don't know how hard that information is to get, or if that data was not within your data set, but it might be interesting to us, even though I'm not sure exactly what we would do with that data. But if it's easy data to get, it'd be good to see if we have a breakdown by either socioeconomic status or other unduplicated categories, just so that we can understand, you know, what it looks like for the entire population as a benchmark, I suppose. If it's easy data to get, if staff's going to take a lot of time doing it, I mean, lean on the rest of the board to see if that's information that.
I don't know if you can give us an idea that it will be difficult or to not too difficult to obtain that data. I am interested as well.
Yeah, we'll have to take a look. I was just pulling up the report we gave the board on the Dakota data at the beginning of the year, and we do have that in there for Dakota students. We'll have to take a look. I don't know what kind of work that will take.
Okay.
Certainly, it's something, given that part of this grant is for us to address our unduplicated students, it hits a lot of the categories that you would want to. So I have a feeling that's why the website link that you saw was active and now it's under construction. I'm guessing they're probably trying to generate that data.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Any more questions? I actually have a question. I know that most of these classes are done at the high school level. What if anything could you do to have preparatory work being done in elementary and middle school so that these students are ready to take on an A3g class? You know, because studies show that if you're not at reading and math skills by third grade, then you're going to be behind for the rest of your education. So what can we do, or is this being looked into?
That has not been an area to be addressed as of yet. Again, as we have students matriculating through the students kindergarten to 8th grade, the notion is that by delivering content state standards that are grade level appropriate, that students would be prepared to engage in their secondary options, which would include A through G courses. If I understand your question correctly, your question asks, are we looking to differentiate or provide preparatory A through G courses in elementary and middle school? Am I understanding your question correctly?
I'm just, we need to make sure that our unduplicated population, because I read something in here about you can't have more than 1 year of ESL courses in high school. So that would obviously be a barrier for the ELSA students to achieve these A3g requirements. And also just making sure that at the elementary level that the students are getting, that they're meeting the state standards across the board.
One of the things that our goal two does, and we will with ideally be looking at is the supports, the access that our students have in an early age to be able to be eligible to get into these courses. That is definitely something that will be part of this work. And then aligning the supports that we have to make sure that academically and in any of the other areas that are barriers for our students, trying to address those in an early age. That's definitely something we're looking at the elementary level as well. So.
Thank you. I have no questions. Okay, thank you, Mr. Design.
Thank you.
All right, the next item is item 9.3, calendar updates. So due to the surge in COVID and because of the Omicron variant, several meetings have required calendar changes. We have attached a proposed schedule. So if anyone on the board has an issue with any of these dates, please speak now.
I don't have an issue or questions, just a comment that our calendar needs to be cleaned up, and also on the way we have the board meeting schedule, and we need to update that as well, because the last board meeting we canceled, there were public inquiries, how come there are no board meeting, there is no board meeting today, because it's said, so we never updated in our schedule that its meeting has been canceled.
Actually, we looked, we couldn't find, I think people might have had it, we didn't find, we looked when we heard that too, so we looked at the calendars and everything was correct.
It was,
So it was changed, so I have a feeling somebody might have written it in their own calendar and forgot to look at ours.
okay,
So, because we went and tried to find where they saw that information, we couldn't find anywhere with that, so.
yeah, so just need to be clean, because there were some schedules, different schedules that need to be canceled, and then new calendar needs to be updated, that's all.
Well, if everybody's agreeable for the, and I know trustee Nishihiro, you might have had I think you had one potential conflict, I don't know.
Maybe on the 22nd, but not exactly sure, so I'm not gonna say anything until, but I think I might be too late at this point, so let's just keep it on calendar.
Everything.
Yeah,
So the, starting next Tuesday with a board study session, which is on our facilities, different facilities issues and matters, we have that, and then the other dates, that last column, those will all be them, and we'll make sure the calendars are updated and go from there. So thank you for being flexible. It's been, our principals really appreciate it, especially when it comes to celebrating schools.
okay, thank you very much. So the next item is 9.4, items from the board and superintendent. Member Calderon, you want to go first? Student member. Okay. Okay, well, we will come back to a student member. Trustee Thomas, would you like to?
Sure, I'll start with a number of thank yous. First, thank you goes to the Logan seniors and juniors who had volunteered to help register over 900 new voters at Logan the last few weeks. So thank you to all those students. Another thank you is adding the Women History Month resolution. Thank you for doing that. Although it is a good thing, I would like to add that as we teach in history, we don't have standards to teach men history, but we teach history with just men and few women in it. So hopefully in the future that we don't need to have standards to include women in history and integrate women and men as we teach history because they were there. But thank you for doing that this time. Also, thank you to the AXPA, American County School Board Association, for the January meeting with Mr. Bill Quirk as our guest. He was updating us regarding legislations and governor's proposals that affect our schools. Our next meeting will be on April 28th. Also would like to thank Jeff Wang in collaboration with the city, specifically Councilman Nhga and City Manager General Lloyd for putting together the Lunar Celebration concert. Actually, it's a good way of understanding the people in our community and promotes harmony in the city that we live in. More thank yous goes to people and superintendents and staff who put together the Round PD. It was very informative, so thank you for putting that together and inviting us to become lifelong learners. There is always something new that comes out there, and laws keeps on changing, so it was good to have and listen to them. Also, thank the staff for working so hard in inviting Dr. Rios to come to our district. When we asked for that, I felt like I was asking for the moon or the stars, because he seems to be so famous and so inundated with requests. And to have him in our district is just so wonderful. And I didn't really expect it to happen so soon. So thank you for getting him here, and I'm really excited for the students who will be able to, and staff who will be able to work with them. And just an FYI, and I know Mr. Nhga will talk to this as well. The New Haven School Foundation is now accepting application from students for the scholarships. Personally, our family has 4 scholarships. We have the one on leadership, one on community service, and 2 in STEM. So we're inviting and encouraging students to please apply, because every penny counts when you're going to college. Thank you. That's it for me.
Thank you, Trustee Smith.
Okay, thanks for stealing my thunder about the scholarship, but that's all right. No problem. I won't state it again. Okay, but I will say congratulations to all of our James Logan athletes who qualified for NCS. The girls soccer team playing tomorrow at 7 p.m. at Logan. I will be there to support one coach with the last name of Nhga. The girls basketball team, the boys basketball team, I believe the boys soccer team, and to my knowledge, 11 Logan wrestlers. So big congratulations to all of them, and go out there and make us proud. You already make us proud, but go out there and compete. That's what I got.
Thank you, Trustee Chima.
Thank you. I was also able to participate in the community event at the Kennedy Park for the Chinese New Year celebration concert. It was good to be in person and be with the community members. And former trustee Nhga was part of the hosting committee. And I was able to participate in the youth voter registration movement at our James Logan High School. I have been actually since we started the initiative for many years, but because of the COVID, the last 2 years we couldn't participate. So this year it was good to see our students. We registered more than 800 students on that day. It was good to be with our students, staff, and volunteers from the community and from the League of Women Voters. Those students, the women voters, they have asked us to recognize those students, leaders who have leaded this effort. So in the future, maybe in April, also we will be inviting those students here to recognize them. And our board member, student board member, Alvin was there too, so it was good to meet him there during that time. That's it for me, and yeah, that's it for me.
Can I respond to trustee regarding recognizing the volunteers that Superintendent Thompson already have the names?
Yeah, I am because we were doing it together. I'm part of that WhatsApp.
Right.
So we get the message.
Yeah, I'm just saying that.
I nice. Yeah, right.
We're hoping to recognize them at the next board meeting.
Okay. Vice President Gonzalez.
I just want to remind everybody, we are in a pandemic, and what do I say to my colleagues, parents, students, just get through this school year, and I know it's tough. And everybody asks the question, when are we gonna go back, when are we gonna go back to normal? I don't know, just survive, just get through it. I know this is the second time I'm bringing up a classmate, class of 95, person who passed away over the weekend, but it was COVID related, and I asked to close the meeting out for Robert Tito B. Benavides, somebody I grew up with, somebody who has family, his parents, went to Logan, really established in the community. Phenomenal soccer player, played on the Olympic team, made the freshman Logan soccer team, or made the senior soccer team when he was a freshman. An artist, he has a mural here in Logan. Just a great person, leaving behind 2 children and a wife, and his family's still here. So I just want to, that's heavy on my mind right now, and that's what I'm thinking about. Whereas I'm beginning to start with my life off, I'm ready for my son to arrive in April. We have a father my age who just passed away, so that's what's on my mind, and just get through the school year.
Thank you, and condolences for your loss into the community as well. Do we have member Calderon? Okay, also. So I also attended the inaugural Lunar New Year Festival, which was put on by former school members of Wing and City Council member Gary Singh, as well as local community. And I was very excited to see that in Union City at Kennedy Park, and to be able to attend and just be part of the community there and to celebrate New Year's that way, and to have our own little spring festival gala here in Union City with many students from New Haven Unified School District who are participating and playing traditional instruments and traditional music from China. And it was just wonderful. So I hope we continue doing these kinds of things in our city and celebrating all the diverse cultures that we have here in Union City and South Hayward in our district. I'd also like to say congratulations, like Christine Nhga did, to our teams that are advancing to NCS. He already mentioned who they were, so go out there, good luck. I hope we all win. And also, I wanted to recognize the voter registration drive. I believe the Human Relations Commission for the city of Union City was also involved, especially Commissioner Rafe, who has been doing a lot of great work with the youth. And I just want to make sure that we recognize her, Shamsa Rafe, because she's the one who invited me to come and help organize with the students. So I love seeing that and participation in our civics from our students. We should all be educated voters and participants in our democracy. So that's awesome. That is it for me. Dr. Thompson.
Okay, just a couple of things. It's just Vice President Gonzalez brought up a good point that we're not out of COVID yet. And so I think it's, as much as we're excited to talk about all the things going on, it is a good reminder that it's still here. We still need to be mindful of it. In the school world, though, I'm going to talk about a few things that aren't COVID related that are getting back to some degree of normalcy. And we had a principals meeting today where the topics that we talked about weren't really COVID related. We're talking about open houses. We were talking about the orientation meetings that are taking place between our middle schools and our high school and our elementary schools and our middle school, and talking about the planning of end of the year activities, which is coming up quicker than we think. So it felt really good to talk about. All this stuff is going on in our schools right now. And the plan is to proceed forward with a full battery of normal end of the year activities, keeping in mind that, you know, as Vice President Nhga pointed out, we still have to be mindful of the impact of the pandemic. I don't know exactly what normal is ever going to look like, but I think we're going to be able to have our students have a relatively normal end of the year, which is nice. And then as Mr. Pizzani pointed out, we're planning on having a full-blown K-12 summer school program. So we'll see. That's fingers crossed, but things are looking good overall right now. And that's it for me.
Thank you very much. Have we heard back from member Pelzer?
No, I texted about
Okay, so we'll move on. He's having difficulties on his end. And next we will have our committee reports. Item 10.1 is the report from the Budget and Finance Committee. That will be member Canvas and member Gonzalez.
Our next meeting is on March 2nd, I believe, Wednesday, 4 to 6.
Okay. And then 10.2 will be a report from the Communication and Advocacy Committee.
Yeah.
Trustee Nhga, you want to take that one?
Sure, yeah, we met on January 20th. We worked through a list of QA issues on the district website, it's this page. We also talked about the school site templates, talked a little bit about that. We figured out kind of the next thing that we're going to be talking about, which is going to be tomorrow on February 16th. We'll talk about the enrollment campaign that the superintendent talked about a little bit earlier today. What does that look like? What are the pieces of collateral? And also search engine optimization. And so our consultants over at Spark Email Marketing will help us kind of wade through some of that. And we'll also talk about where we are with our website as well. So that's tomorrow at 5, at which point when we're done, I'm going to walk over to Logan and watch the undefeated Lady Colts win their NCSD. So
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Next item is 10.3, report from the Policy Review Committee. Mr. Gonzalez, would you like to give that report?
Sure. Okay, so our board policy review committee met February 1st on a Tuesday, 5:30. And we first reviewed about 12 policies we just made revisions to, and this was COVID-19 mitigation plan, emergency schedules, food service operations, cafeteria fund, staff development, hate motivated behavior, childcare and development, response to instruction and intervention, environmental education, comprehensive health education, identification and evaluation of individuals for special education, children with disabilities enrolled by their parents in private school, and finally, student success teams. And these policies were easy and simple to cruise over. And the bulk of our time was spent on a policy on transgender students. This was S/5124. We had, of course, there are two board members, President Schwinn Mallory and I, and the superintendent and staff, but we had our attorneys present at that meeting, helping read through the policy tooth and nail with a fine comb. A special shout out to President Schwinn Mallory for leading in this policy. This policy was right in her wheelhouse. And our next meeting was on the 22nd. Now it's on the 24th. And yeah, that's it. That concludes my report.
Thank you. And there were 2 additional new policies, I-6 120 and I-6 142.8, which were to be in compliance with new regulations. So those are also on our agenda tonight. And that's it. And we recommend that we approve all of these policies tonight. Okay, 10.4 other committee reports. Trustee Missionary, do you want to give them for the school foundation?
Sure, this will be really quick. Seniors, start applying for your scholarships. Go to the New Haven Schools Foundation website, and there's a link there to see all the scholarships that are available. The foundation uses an application called Award Spring that makes it so that seniors just have to fill out one form, and it will automatically qualify them for as many of the scholarships as they qualify for. So it makes the application part really easy, and so I encourage all students to partake in that.
Thank you very much. Do we have an ROP report?
Yeah, we had our meeting last Thursday and we will have again our meeting this Thursday coming because I'm serving as the president this year and we will have students evaluation. It's not as comprehensive meeting like here, but it's just like a mini board meeting. So they have received new CTEC grants, so thanks to that. And we have new we are trying to revive old, they used to have a welding program, but then it was shut down, so now they are renovating it and then starting out again. We have some grant for that. They are renovating that unit to start the program again. That's it for now.
Okay, what was that unit again? I didn't catch.
The Mission Valley ROB, they used to have a welding program. Welding, yeah. But the building needs to be renovated. So that work is going on right now. It will be completed by fall.
Thank you. Do you have any other?
Can I just add something to my section on the foundation?
Oh,
Yeah, for students who want to apply, they go to the New Haven Schools Foundation in the upper navigation, it says scholarships. Then go to 2022 scholarship program, and then next over is apply for scholarships. So that's how you.
Trustee Thomas.
Do you want me to cover ASPA?
Oh, I thought you already did that in your report earlier.
Oh, okay, unless you want to show.
Okay,
me.
well,
Okay,
to reiterate, we had our ASPA meeting with Bill Quirk. It was very informative. And our next meeting will be April 28th.
right, and in that meeting, we have opportunity to have Mr. James Aguilar, who is one of our director of large and the county and trustees will be able to share their concerns regarding what's happening in our schools, and he will be able to share that to CSBA delegates, but at the leadership meeting so that they could share it to the state and hopefully impact legislations that will come out and help us improve our budget, etc. So it would be nice for people to attend so we can share our concerns.
Absolutely, save the date, please. Okay, next is section 11, our action items. First, we have 11.1, which is resolution number 034-2122 for Women's History Month. We have a volunteer who would like to read the resolution. I'm assuming Trustee Cameron, please.
Resolution number 034-2122, Women's History Month, March 2022. Whereas the purpose of National Women's History Month is to increase awareness and knowledge of women's involvement in history. And whereas in 1981, responding to the growing popularity of women's history celebrations, Congress passed a resolution making Women's History Week a national observance. And whereas in 1987, the National Women's History Project petitioned Congress to expand the national celebration to include the entire month of March. And whereas women of every race, class, and ethnic background have made historic contributions to the growth and strength of our nation in countless recorded and unrecorded ways. And whereas women continue to play a critical economic, cultural, and social role in every sphere of nation. And whereas transgender women and LGBT community as a whole have been leaders in the fight for women's suffrage, and allies leading the fight for equality in every aspect of our democracy. And whereas women have played a unique role through our history by providing the majority of the nation's volunteer labor force, and were particularly important in the establishment of early charitable, philanthropic, and cultural institutions in the country. And whereas women have been leaders in every major progressive social change movement, not only to secure their own right of suffrage and equal opportunity, but also in the abolitionist movement, the emancipation movement, the industrial revolution movement, and the modern civil rights movement, which attempt to create a more fair and just society for all. And whereas the history social science framework for the California public schools, kindergarten through 12th grade, states that the history of community, state, region, nation, and the world reflect the experiences of men and women of different racial, religious, and ethnic groups, and that the study of this inclusive history be integrated at every grade level in the curriculum. Therefore, be it resolved that the New Haven Unified School District supports the goals and ideals of the National Women's History Month, and be it therefore resolved that the New Haven Unified School District recognizes and honors the women and organizations that have fought for and continue to promote the teaching of women's history. Passed and adopted by Governing Board of Education of New Haven Unified School District, County of Alameda, this 15th day of February 2022.
May I have a motion and a second to adopt resolution number 034-2122, Women's History Month, March 2022?
So moved.
Second. Is there any discussion? Okay, roll call please.
Calderon, Canlis,
Aye.
Ishihara,
Aye.
Chiba,
Aye.
Gonzalez,
Aye.
Swinmiller.
Aye. Our next item is 11.2, California School Boards Association Delegate Assembly Election for 2022. The board is asking for discussion on the delegate assembly nominees. Once the board has decided to vote for 1, 2, or 3, or 4 nominees, then we will have a motion in a second. So the nominees are Kelly Mobashi from Pleasanton USD, Monique Tate from San Leandro USD, Megan Sweet from Alameda USD, and Annie White from Livermore Valley Joint USD. There are 4 openings and 4 candidates. So would you like to approve the 4 candidates? Discussion?
Question.
Yeah.
Do we have to vote for all 4 of them?
No, we do not.
Okay, and when I say we, is that individual vote or is that a board vote?
We vote as a board.
I'll move that we appoint the entire slate of 4 nominees.
I second. Okay. Roll call. Or discussion. Any discussion?
I just want to share that 2 of them are incumbent and we know who they are. I do not know who the other 2, but no other people are. Right, so, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, so you have a lot of people running now, we have 4 for sure.
I think you were representing too, excuse me?
Yeah.
During the odd years, no? Okay. Thank you, that's it. Okay, roll call please.
Canlis,
Aye.
Ishihara,
Aye.
Chiba,
Aye.
Gonzalez,
Aye.
Swinmiller.
Aye. Next item is item 11.3. This is the consideration of PE waiver for a James Logan High School student. May I have a motion in a second to approve the PE waiver for 1 student at James Logan High School? So moved. Second. Any discussion? Roll call please.
Canlis,
Aye.
Ishihara,
Aye.
Chiba,
Aye.
Gonzalez,
Aye.
Swinmiller.
Aye. Our next item is 11.4, which is new board policy for transgender students. May I have a motion and a second to approve the new board policy S5124, transgender students?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. And discussion? Yes, trustee Nhga.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank the committee for all the hard work. It was a really good process. I felt as an individual board member, I felt that my concerns were heard, they were addressed. I also appreciate the fact that legal counsel was brought in to make sure that we mitigate any risks. So I thank you so much to the policy team for the due diligence and making this decision an easy one. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Okay, roll call please.
Candace.
Aye.
Ishimura.
Aye.
Chima.
Aye.
Gonzalez.
Aye.
Aye. All right, the next is 11.5, new board policy I-6120, response to instruction and intervention. May I have a motion and a second to approve new board policy I-6120, response to instruction and intervention?
So moved.
Second. Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call please.
Candace.
Aye.
Ishimura.
Aye.
Chima.
Aye.
Gonzalez.
Aye.
Whitmiller.
Aye. Item 11.6 is a new board policy regarding comprehensive health education. May I have a motion and a second to approve new board policy I-6142.8, comprehensive health education?
So moved.
Second. Is there any discussion? Okay, roll call please.
Candace.
Aye.
Ishimura.
Aye.
Chima.
Aye.
Gonzalez.
Aye.
Whitmiller.
Aye. Next item, 11.7, is our agreement with Scholar Systems. May I have a motion and second to approve the agreement with Scholar Systems LLC for student leadership development?
So moved.
Second. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, I actually did. This is the one,
Yes.
yeah, this is, Mr. Rios. I think I've already covered this with superintendent, and I just want to make sure that the students that we select for this are really kind of well vetted, and I guess Mr. Rios will be doing all of the vetting, or his organization will be doing all the vetting to make sure that we can really reach kids that we think can really benefit from this course. I'm very, very excited. So I thank you, Superintendent, for making it happen. And I'm really looking forward to seeing all the great results. So that would be the call to see, like, after we do, because in many cases, we fund programs like this and we never actually see the end result of it. So I would actually love a comprehensive report for what actually happened. I mean, I'd like to observe if that's even possible, but I would just love to see the end result of the program.
I'm sorry, if I can address that, that's.
Yeah.
So I did reach out to Dr. Rios and ask him about the criteria. So it's students that have experienced a variety of diversities or adversities or personal hardships are the general group that are targeted, and it could be for a number of reasons, but also that show potential to, with some assistance to, to become leaders and help at Logan. So those are, and they're recommended by counselors, teachers, and administrators. So that's there's a criteria.
Now, I apologize, I didn't prep you guys for this question, but are we using ACE indicators, which are adverse childhood encounters, as being one of the screening factors for this?
That would be one of the factors,
Okay.
but it doesn't need to be limited to that. So and again, I think Dr. Risponi comes in, will help prep our team to do that. So, and we're hopeful, very hopeful, that this will be the beginning of a kind of an ongoing effort to really engage our students differently and help our students that are experiencing some challenges to become leaders in leading through those challenges and helping others.
I think this is kind of the type of thing that we would love to be able to create kind of a video highlight reel of the changes that we're making in our community as a part of this board's priorities. So that might be something that we can bring up in our communication and advocacy team meeting, as well as the types of things that we want to really blast out to the world.
I agree.
So
That's a great idea.
I'm laughing because it's funny you said that, because that's exactly what I asked John to do, because this is a huge deal, I think. And hopefully, we talked about outcome. Hopefully someday, the students who are affected will be the one coming back and working with our future students. So wouldn't that be exciting? to see something like that happen as graduates of this program. So I'm just really excited about this as well. That's what I was gonna say too. Thank you.
Did I see trustee Kima's hand?
No, there was no hands up, so thank you
Okay.
so much, Dana, said what I wanted to say, thank you, Member Nhga and Member Campbell.
Yeah, I think this is great. I'm very excited about this work. I just want to make sure it's being led by the communities that it's meant to support. So we can have roll call now.
Campbell's.
Aye.
Nishihara.
Aye.
Nhga. Gonzalez.
Aye.
Schwindel.
Aye. Next item, 11.8, annual measure M financial and performance audit, which was done by Ms. Coleman. May I have a motion and second to accept the annual measure M financial performance audit report of June 30th, 2021.
So moved.
Second. Is there any discussion? Thank you, Ms. Coleman, for the report. Roll call, please.
Campbell's.
Aye.
Nishihara.
Aye.
Nhga.
Aye.
Gonzalez.
Aye.
Schwindel.
Aye. Next item is 11.9, our annual financial report. May I have a motion and a second to accept the annual financial report of June 30th, 2021?
So moved.
Second. Okay, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Campbell's.
Aye.
Nishihara.
Aye.
Nhga. Gonzalez.
Aye.
Schwindel.
Aye. Item 11.10, approval of contract with Lamar Company for enrollment advertising on AC Transit, February, May. May I have a motion and second to approve the contract with Lamar Companies for enrollment advertising on AC Transit, February to May 2022?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Trustee Thomas.
I also just want to share how excited I am about this. The first time I heard about something similar to this was when we were interviewing Dr. Thompson. Mr. Nishihara and I were sitting with him and we were talking about how can we advertise our school district to increase enrollment. And he came up with this wonderful description of things, possible things we could do. And this is something similar to one of those. So I'm really excited to be able to see a bus pass in front of me and say, hey, that's my district. So thank you that we're headed this direction. I've been looking forward for this for a long time. Thank you so much.
Trustee Tino.
I'm also thankful that Supreme Council, he is fulfilling this, one of his questions. But I'm just wondering if the Communication Committee have discussed this in your meeting.
Yeah, we've discussed it at a strategic level. We have not talked about it at a tactical level. So we haven't talked about the exact things that we're gonna say. We've talked about it as something that we're gonna want to do, but we haven't. Tomorrow, we're actually gonna be talking a little bit more about specific messaging and tactics and things like that.
Oh, okay, thank you. I was just wondering that I was searching about this company who's providing this service to Lamar company, and it happened that they are in somewhere in some other state, right? Is this intentional? How did you come up with the decision?
Well, this is what, if you want to put something on an AC Transit bus, this is the company you have to use. So this is who AC Transit contracts with.
I see.
Right, and that's, you don't have a choice. If you want to put something on their buses, you have to, they have to go through that.
Oh, so easy transit, then maybe they have a contract or they work with them, right? Yeah, they're from Utah or somewhere other switching, and there are two, Lamar company and Lamar advertisement companies.
But additionally, in addition to this, tomorrow we're gonna be talking about search engine optimization, which is actually gonna allow us to target specific types of families with specific types of needs, with specific types of messages, which could be a lot more effective than bus wraps. I mean, it'll be in addition to, obviously, but it will be a lot more targeted. And so that could be a much more cost effective and a much more targeted way of getting to the families that we need to get to. So that might be a bigger game changer than what we're doing right now.
Okay, thank you. So, well, since we are on this topic, to increase the enrollment of advertising of boosting our image, I have suggested, the council before that I used to see, you might have seen other people, you might have seen in the Tri-City Voice, the Fremont, they always have a little ad, oh, we are enrolling kids, we are enrolling kids. So I have suggested please follow up on that one. So as many channels as we can use. So, that's it.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Campbell's.
Aye.
Ishihara.
Aye.
Chiba.
Aye.
Gonzalez.
Aye.
Aye. 11.1 is approval of our contract with Clear Channel Outdoor for billboard advertising. May I have a motion and second to approve the contract with Clear Channel Outdoor for enrollment advertising on digital billboard?
So,
Second. Great
One
discussion.
point of, or there was 11.11. I heard 11.1.
11.11, yes, thank you for that clarification. Any discussion?
this too is in the same line of excitement, regarding getting our district out there to the community. I mean, can you just imagine people driving, passing, and they say, oh yeah, looks like happening at this district. Let's check it out. So this is good direction. Thank you.
That's the hope.
Yeah.
You're stuck on track, stuck on 880, you should be able to.
And the traffic is really slow right now. There's strategically placed advertisement. Okay,
I'm placing my fingers to bring in the revenue, the work of investment into those channels. Thank you. I'm happy to explore. Thank you.
any other discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Campbell's.
Aye.
Ishihara.
Aye.
Chiba.
Um,
Gonzalez.
Aye.
Aye. Item 11.12, the district's initial bargaining proposal for negotiations with NHGA. May I have a motion and a second to approve the district's initial bargaining proposal for negotiations with NHGA?
So,
Second. Any discussion? Comment? Yes.
I just wanted to say that there were some public comments regarding this agenda item, so we do hear those, although we don't respond, we do hear those comments. Thank you.
Yes. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Campbell's.
aye.
Ishihara.
Aye.
Chiba.
Aye.
Gonzalez.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we are on to section 12, which is our consent agenda items. Are there any items on which trustees have questions or need clarification or would like pulled for separate vote? Okay, seeing none, can we have roll call, please?
Campbell's.
Aye.
Ishihara.
Wait a second.
Oh, I didn't have a motion. Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda items 12.1 through 12.4, 24?
So moved.
Second.
Well,
Campbell's.
Aye.
Ishihara.
Aye.
Chiba.
Gonzalez.
Aye.
Swetnauer.
Aye. We don't need item 13 tonight, since no items were removed from the consent agenda. Item 14.1 would be an assessment of governance procedures and protocols. Anybody? Trustee Gonzalez.
Well, great job overall. One thing, and I checked up on, double checked up on that, which is the committee recommendations don't need a second. According to Robert Rule of Order, we had two coming out of policy. I think it's redundant to ask for a motion and then a second. I think we just take the committee's recommendation that is been seconded and go into the roll call.
It does make sense, since there's two board members on the policy committee, it in fact has already been mentioned and seconded. I believe there's something in Robert's rules saying as such, that the committee has already approved it, that it can, doesn't need a motion.
So they,
Okay.
so you
Can
think
we at
that
least check it just to make sure
He said he already did.
you did?
He did, yeah. We have, when's our next governance?
So your recommendation is to put them in the consent agenda?
No.
Still in the action,
Yeah, so you just read it without asking for the,
I see.
without asking
Move
for.
in second. I
For a motion and a second. You'll just go straight to roll call.
Well, you can still have discussion. Right. Is this motion?
Yeah,
because
you
it's
still have
discussion.
discussion, and roll call, you still need a motion and a second.
Now, would that be the same if the two city board members on the committee both didn't agree? You'd still need a motion, that correct?
Then it will not come here. If both of them didn't agree there.
That's not necessarily true.
No, yeah.
So,
Still will come.
So, I don't know, just, I mean, like, for example, the branding that came from the committee, the President Sean Mallory and I were at odds, so that wouldn't have been a
Automatic.
Automatic, yeah.
But there was a recommendation came out of your committee though,
correct.
and so that is
That
the
was-
motion, yeah.
Okay, so that's fine, certainly something we can double click on, I don't see it being, a huge deal, but it's worth at least figuring out, at least before our governance session, the nature and the principle of that rule, and if it's that, the reason why you don't need a motion in a second is because two board members were on the committee, which would have constituted the motion in the second, or if it's so I don't know, it's worth at least looking at that particular case.
We can try and Vice President Nhga, Gonzalez, if you have if you have any of that information you want to forward it, I can try to make sure the board has access to it. We can discuss it at the governance session.
Yeah.
And we can look at it. It's an interesting nuance that is worth exploring.
And whatever we do, we want to make sure we're consistent so that it applies to the other committees as well.
Great, and any other comments?
Just like, Thompson just mentioned, he said it one time at the meeting also. But I do not,
I didn't hear what you said, can you say closer to the mic?
just now, Dr. Thompson mentioned Vice President Nhga, and one of the comments during the meeting, he also used that Vice President Nhga. So.
I'll try to make sure I get names for.
Yeah.
You trying to give me a promotion, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, so,
I know
Might be-
titles that keep
yeah.
changing, so sometimes, we can put this.
That maybe started about 5:15 this morning.
yeah, well, this is our second meeting of the year, so, we have some time to figure that out. I would like to encourage everyone to, raise your hand and wait to be called on. There was a point of tonight when someone raised their hand and someone just started speaking, so just as a professional courtesy, we shouldn't be speaking over one another. I try to take everybody in the order that I see the hand, and make sure everybody gets heard, so there's no reason to jump the gun there. All right, one thing. Any other, okay, so any board consensus items, 5.1, member request of the staff. 15.1, 15.1, I am also tired of hearing. 15.1, are there any items that would like to request from the staff? I believe there was, well, no, that didn't need consensus. Okay. I just want to follow up that we are on track for one of our previous requests, that this month is Black History Month, and we will be having a highlight of what we did for Black History Month at the next meeting.
Yep, we sure will. It's already, Mr. Mouse is already starting to put together what we have, and it'll be we'll have it available.
Great.
And then we will do the same for Women's History Month.
In April. Great, perfect. Okay, and with that, I would like to adjourn in honor of Roberto Tito Benavides, beloved community member, artist, and athlete. Thank you.